Hey everybody, how's it going? Steve here. A couple of weeks ago, our pals at Nintendo Life launched the Better eShop, a front end for the Nintendo Switch eShop which purports to be, as its name implies, better than what Nintendo is offering. Now, y'all had some really strong feelings about this on social media, particularly around the use of the term shovelware. So now that the dust has settled, I wanted to dig in and explore on whether this was a better eShop or just a different one. But before that, a word from our sponsor. This video is brought to you by Raycon. It's almost Valentine's Day, and if you find yourself struggling to find that perfect gift, why not give your special someone something everybody loves? When's the last time you met somebody who didn't love music? Raycon's everyday earbuds are the perfect companion to any playlist, and their sleek design means they work great in the gym, on phone calls, or wherever you go. Raycon's latest model is better than ever, giving you 32-hour battery life, multi-point connectivity to connect to 2 devices at once, and active noise cancellation at an accessible price point, starting at just half the price of other premium audio brands. And not only that, they're incredibly stylish. I just picked up my second pair of everyday earbuds, this time in this amazing green color, and I use them for everything now. I'm even using them to edit this video. My favorite feature, however, has to be the quick charging. I always forget to charge my devices, but just 10 minutes of charge will give me an hour and a half of battery. That's awesome. If you don't fall in love with your Raycons, they offer a 30-day happiness guarantee return policy, no questions asked. So do me a favor, pick up a pair of everyday earbuds and support GVG in the process. Go to buyraycon.com/GVG to get up to 20% off site-wide. That's right, you'll get up to 20% off everything on Raycon's website, including 20% off all headphones too, when you go to buyraycon.com/GVG. Thanks again to Raycon for sponsoring today's video. So it's time to dig into Nintendo Life's better version of the Nintendo Switch eShop. Now, it goes without saying that this is not available on the Nintendo Switch, as the Switch doesn't really support web front ends like this. You would have to have some kind of mod installed for this to work, and I don't think that that was ever the intended use. Instead, the Better eShop works in a standard web browser, whether that's on your phone or on your laptop or PC, as I'm about to do. So let's go ahead and pull it up and start digging into what exactly we have here. So this is the interface for the Better eShop. And you can see right at the front page, you have recent releases, games that are on offer, a list of games curated by Nintendo Life staff, and then stuff that's coming to the Switch soon. You can also change the UI from light mode to dark mode, and while I prefer dark mode in 99.9% of cases, I actually really like the look of light mode on this one because it utilizes the Switch eShop's orange and white color scheme, and I just prefer it that way. It's bright and it's nice to look at. Nintendo Life is one of my favorite designed websites on the entire internet, so it's not surprising to me at all that their eShop variant is just as cool as the rest of their stuff. But let's go ahead and dig into what we see here, because on the left you'll notice that there's a list of categories you can go through. A lot of them mirror what is available here on the right, but the big one that everybody was talking about in the beginning is the filters section. And you can see that the shovelware category is just heavily skewed more than any other. There are 2,000 plus titles in here, and initially at least, a lot of legitimate games were caught up in this. But looking at the first few pages of it now, you can see that it kind of fits. There's a lot of titles listed here that really feel like, well, they deserve to be in this category. I particularly appreciate the fact that the Nintendo Life staff are tagging AI-generated content, so you can see that a lot of these games just have generative AI covers. That is not something I'd like to support, and it's nice that they're flagging these so that you kind of know at a glance which games are not really worth your time, which are worth skipping. Because even in a list of shovelware, I might see a game that could be interesting. Not that I'm finding any now, but let's pick on Jewel Fever 3. It's not tagged as AI. It looks like a Bejeweled clone, right? You've got some basic info here. The About section is lifted straight from the actual Switch eShop. That's the description of the game supplied by the developer. And you can see information here, such as the release date, number of players, the genre, and if you want to see the actual eShop listing, you can just click more information and it will pull up the actual eShop page for this, where you can see the trailer, screenshots, etc. it's pretty nice way to get the info you need about a game. I have some thoughts on this, but how do we get games listed as shovelware? Because if you go to the coming soon section here on the left, you'll see that there are probably a few games that could fit the bill that are here that are not tagged yet, like Bad Parenthood with an obvious poorly photoshopped title screen here. If you wanted to potentially flag something, you can hit report game and you can select a filter and send a potential note or a message. I'm not going to flag this because I don't know anything about Bad Parenthood, and that would be messed up if it turns out that it's not. But there's no description for the game, no user reviews, nothing. If we dig further into the eShop, you can hit the Discover tab here, and you'll see some of the categories that are that were on the front page, as well as ones that are top user rated, usual suspects, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Metroid Dread, games that are popular in this moment, Donkey Kong Country Returns, Brothership, Tears of the Kingdom again, Mario Wonder, Ys Memoir, stuff that is doing well. And this is based on Nintendo Life's own traffic. So this is basically a list of games that Nintendo Life's visitors are looking at. And that's really interesting because I don't know that they expose that data any other way. So if you want to know what Nintendo Life viewers are really tuning in to look at, these are the games. That's kind of cool. Speaking of stuff that is unique to Nintendo Life, if you click into any of these games, you'll actually get a chance to see user reviews from Nintendo Life, as well as Nintendo Life's own text-based review. If you click the read full review button, you get their actual review. This was reviewed by Alex over there apparently, and well, it seems like he liked it. He gave it a 7. That's an okay-ish score. Our own John was he was much more critical of the game, giving it a 5. You can watch their video review, which out of respect for our colleagues at Nintendo Life, I won't do. I'm not going to put one of their videos on screen for you. You can go watch videos on their channel if you'd like to see their review. I won't republish any of their stuff. That'd just be rude. By all appearances, it seems to be faster. It seems to be much more accessible, much more quick to get to. And there's some reasons for that. Let's go ahead and break those down right now. So first off, we are clearly using the eShop on a computer and not on a Switch. And you might not think that makes a difference, but if you've ever accessed the Nintendo eShop on a computer, there's a huge difference between how fast it is and how fast your Switch can pull up that same information. Outside of that, the listings for these games are also much lighter. If we're looking at Ender Magnolia here, for example, you've got the header image, you've got the About section, you've got Nintendo Life's review and user reviews. But if you follow the link over to Nintendo's own eShop, there's a lot more here. You've got tons of screenshots, you've got videos, you've got the ability to see the game to a much greater degree on Nintendo's own eShop. And I'm not sure why Nintendo Life didn't put these screenshots or this information into what they have dubbed the better eShop, because they're clearly lifting parts of information from the Switch eShop directly. These About sections are clearly the same descriptions that are available on the Switch eShop. You can see, if you expand the Read More section, it's the same stuff. It's formatted a bit differently, but it's the same. In fact, the formatting is kind of broken here. So that stuff is basically available on Nintendo's own site, so they are pulling some amount of information from the eShop directly and putting it into the better eShop. And I don't think there's necessarily a problem with that. This is freely available public information. It's not like they're stealing. They're not taking creative works and replicating them. They're just taking product information, which is likely thrown about various places online, and putting it into their front end so that you can get actual actionable info. But if you're going to do that, why not go all the way and collect all the screenshots as well as the trailers? I would like to have the ability to scroll through these without having to go to another website to really see them, because it's all well and good when you're talking about a well-known game. But if you're looking at those recent releases and perhaps you want to know more about Citizen Sleeper 2, all you really have is the key art. And for me personally, I like to see a game in motion before I make a purchase decision. A review is good and helpful, but oftentimes I just want to see the screenshots or the trailers on the shop before I even go as far as reading a review. So it's a little difficult to really recommend that this be your only port of call, even if it does have some very cool features. I think that the Better eShop is an interesting choice. I think that the filters in particular make it very interesting, but if we go back and compare against Nintendo's own eShop, and we just go to games and look at Nintendo Switch games, we have plenty of filters here as well. And in some cases, they provide stuff that the Better eShop doesn't offer, such as filtering by games that have online play or support the save data cloud. You can search for specific characters. You can say, I want Animal Crossing, which is kind of a funny thing to put because there's only one Animal Crossing game on the Switch. But you can even say, I want games that feature Diddy Kong, which is a very interesting choice. And you just get Super Mario Party Jamboree. But those are things that I really like seeing as available options. That's not something that the Better eShop can do, although it has its own categories that are not available on the Switch eShop, such as asset flips or mobile ports or games that copycat other titles. And if you dig into copycats, you'll find Little Strays right here. Little Strays, from first glance, seems to be maybe a copy of Little Kitty Big City, but again, without the screenshots, it's really hard to tell what game it's actually a copy of. It has 2-player split screen, it has 16 challenging levels, and I'm sure if you read into it, you'll probably learn that, yeah, it's Little Kitty Big City. But it would be easier to tell that if you didn't have to then go to the regular eShop to look at the screenshots to figure out what the aesthetic and vibe of the game is. So in the end, where does this leave me? My final verdict, or at least my current thought on it, is that the Better eShop does some things better than the Switch eShop. But that comparison is really only as dramatic as you may believe if you're comparing this Better eShop to the eShop on the Switch itself. When you start comparing the websites side by side, it's easy to see that it's really more of just a different eShop. It lets you filter by different things, and if those are the things that matter to you, then you may want to use this as your front end. Speaking personally, I actually prefer Nintendo's own eShop. I think that the options there much more suit my taste. I like purchasing from Nintendo directly because then there's really no change of information besides just the fact that I'm telling Nintendo that I want to buy something. And the transaction is more direct. I can download straight to my Switch from Nintendo's website, and granted, you can do so on the Better eShop, but only because it's passing your purchase information through to the real eShop. So you're really adding a step, at least in terms of the purchase process. But for me, I'm gonna have to say this is just a different eShop. I think that there's plenty of reason to like it. I think people may enjoy it, but it's not for me. And with that, that's gonna do it. Until next time, folks. Bye.